He took the only person I ever loved, right in front of me. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I smiled, and that was the day my revenge began. My name is Hannah Green, a 29-year-old graphic designer from Denver. I never thought my brother could steal more than money, but he stole my heart's peace. Now I'll take everything he cares about, the proposal that killed me. The restaurant sparkled with white candles and hanging roses. I stood near the back, pretending to enjoy the party. My brother Ryan held a small box behind his back, his grin wider than I'd ever seen. Everyone clapped and cheered for him. No one saw my shaking hands. "Ella," he said, his voice thick with excitement. "I've never loved anyone like this." I froze. Ella, my Ella, looked at him like he hung the stars. My chest burned as he knelt down on one knee. The lights above glittered on the diamond ring, making it look almost cruel. She gasped, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Yes!" she cried, throwing her arms around him. The crowd erupted in cheers. Phones rose into the air, recording every second. I could barely breathe. My lips formed a tight smile, but my heart cracked open like glass under a boot. "Congrats, you two," I managed to say when they hugged me. My voice sounded far away. Ryan pulled me close. "You're the reason I met her, Hannah. You introduced us. I'll owe you forever, forever." The words stung like poison. I nodded, swallowing hard. "Yeah, guess you do." When the music started again, I slipped outside. The winter air hit my face, sharp and cold. The stars blurred as tears fell. I had wanted to scream, to break glass, to ruin everything right there, but I didn't. Instead, I smiled into the night and whispered, "You won't have her long," because silence was sharper than rage, the text he didn't see. Back home, I sat on my couch, the glow of my phone flickering across my face. My thumb hovered over old messages between Ella and me. She used to send me poems, pictures of her morning coffee, drawings she made just for me. I scrolled through them like touching ashes. Then I saw it. A text, months before the proposal, sent from her. "Your brother's funny. I like how easy he is to talk to." I frowned and kept scrolling. The messages got warmer, cozier, little jokes, late-night memes, a photo of Ryan holding her dog. Then one that stopped my heart. "Don't tell Hannah," she'd written. "Not yet." The timestamp hit me like a slap. It was a month before she told me she was falling in love with me. I stared at the screen, my pulse pounding in my ears. I read every word again, slower this time. The betrayal wasn't sudden. It had been growing under my nose. "Wow, Ella," I whispered, the phone heavy in my hand. I took screenshots, dozens of them, and sent them to my old backup phone. Cold, careful fingers. No shaking now, just purpose. In the quiet, I heard Ryan's voice in my mind, thanking me for introducing them. I almost laughed. Love could make people blind, but betrayal, that made them see everything. The family dinner trap, Mom wanted to celebrate the engagement. "It'll be nice to have everyone together again," she said. I agreed, hiding my disgust beneath a polite smile. I brought a bottle of red wine, old and rich, just like the lie I was about to serve. When I walked into the house, it smelled like rosemary and roasted chicken. Dad sat by the fireplace, pretending to read while Mom fussed with candles. Ryan and Ella arrived late, glowing with joy. I stayed quiet, sipping my wine and letting their laughter fill the room like cheap perfume. "You're awfully quiet," Mom said, squeezing my shoulder. "Just happy for them," I murmured. My voice didn't tremble this time. Ryan raised his glass. "To love that lasts forever." I met his eyes, smiling back. "To truth," I said softly, letting my words curl like smoke. He chuckled, clueless. I poured more wine into his glass, topping it off until it nearly spilled. His laugh grew louder as the night went on. Ella kept touching his arm, and every time she did, it made something inside me twist colder. Mom leaned in to whisper, "You've always been the strong one, Hannah." I smiled faintly. "Yeah, I guess I had to be." When everyone finally went to bed, I stood at the table, tracing the rim of Ryan's empty glass. Beneath the soft hum of the refrigerator, I could almost hear my own thoughts whisper back, "You've started something now. Don't stop." The old photo album. The house was sleeping when I crept into the attic. The air was thick with dust and the faint smell of pine. I pulled open the old trunk and found our childhood photo album, the one Mom used to show off. The cover was cracked leather, edges frayed, Flipping through the pages felt like flipping through another life. There we were, Ryan and me sitting beside the lake, holding ice cream cones. Our smiles had no cracks then. Our eyes still trusted each other. I laughed bitterly. "You were my hero," I whispered to his younger face. When I came to the picture of us building a snowman, I paused. I tore it in half, clean, deliberate. I kept my part and placed his half neatly on his nightstand. Downstairs, I could hear him snoring faintly. He would wake up and find it in the morning. He would know I'd been in his room. That was the point. Not to hurt him, not yet. Just to remind him I was still here. I went back to my room and sat on the edge of the bed, looking at the torn half in my hand. My child self smiled up at me, missing her brother's arm around her shoulders. "I'm sorry," I whispered to that little girl. "He's gone now." The night outside was silent except for the faint hum of an approaching storm. Sometimes hurt needed lightning before the rain, her secret messages. The message came 2 days later. "Ella, can we talk?" I stared at the screen for minutes. My fingers hovered above the keys, then typed one word. "Sure." We met at the cafe where we first said "I love you." The smell of espresso hit me like a memory I didn't ask for. Ella sat at the corner table, hands twisting around her coffee cup. She looked smaller somehow. "Hannah," she began, voice trembling. "I didn't mean for things to happen like this." I said nothing. I turned on my phone's recorder quietly under the table. "He doesn't know," she said, glancing toward the door as if Ryan might burst in. "About us. He never knew." "Did you plan to tell him?" I asked. She shook her head, tears filling her eyes. "I didn't want to lose you both." The words hit me like a brick. "You already have," I said quietly. Her face crumpled. "I still love you, Hannah. I never stopped." I stared at her, trying to see any truth left. Maybe there was, buried deep under guilt, but love wasn't a seed that could grow again after poison. "I hope you tell him one day," I said, finishing my coffee. "Before I do?" When I walked out, the sun was setting, painting the street gold. I pressed stop on the recorder and saved the file. Her voice, confessing everything, was the most dangerous weapon I'd ever held. Breaking the golden boy, I woke up early, sunlight leaking through the curtains. Ryan's voice echoed faintly in my head from last night's phone call. He was cheerful, unsuspecting. I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. My fingers shook only once before I studied it and attached the photos. Ella's hand in mine, her head resting on my shoulder, dated and time-stamped from before the proposal. In the email field, I typed his work address. No subject line, no message, just the images. One click, sent. Then I shut the laptop and leaned back, breathing slowly. No rush of joy came, just a heavy calm. Revenge didn't feel like fire, it felt like frost. By afternoon, Mom called. Her voice was trembling. "Hannah, do you know where Ryan is?" "He didn't go to work. His boss called." I stared at the floor. "He'll come home when truth does." She went quiet, confused, maybe afraid to ask what I meant. I ended the call and walked to the window. Denver's skyline stretched far, but today it felt smaller. Somewhere out there, my brother's world was crumbling, and all I felt was relief. That night, I checked my phone again. One unread message from him. "Ryan." "Who sent me those pictures?" I smiled faintly, typing just 2 words in reply. "Ask Ella." He didn't answer again. Outside, rain began to fall, tapping softly on the glass. Every drop sounded like a beat of justice, the wedding that wasn't. The church was glowing with gold light, the air heavy with perfume and expectation. I sat in the second row, clutching my purse like a secret. My heart didn't race anymore. It just waited. Ryan stood at the altar in his tailored suit, pale from sleepless nights. Ella walked down the aisle, radiant but hollow, her smile trembling at the edges. Everyone whispered how beautiful she looked. I wondered what they would say 10 minutes from now. When the priest began the vows, I felt my pulse quicken. "If anyone objects, speak now or forever hold your peace." I stood. Every head turned. Ella's bouquet trembled in her hands. Ryan's mouth parted slightly, confusion flickering in his eyes. I reached into my purse, pulled out my phone, and tapped play. Her voice filled the church, shaky, emotional, undeniable. "I still love you, Hannah. I never stopped." Gasps moved through the crowd like wind. A few phones dropped. Mom's hand covered her mouth. Ryan's face went white, his body rigid as if struck. Ella's eyes filled with tears. She tried to run toward me, whispering, "Please, stop." But I didn't. The recording ended, and silence wrapped the room. Then I turned and walked out slowly, heels echoing against marble. I didn't look back. Outside, the sun hit my face, warm and merciless. Revenge had a taste, sweet and acid at once. The aftershock. The next morning, the story was all over social media. Someone had recorded the wedding disaster. Runaway bride exposed by lover. The title made me laugh bitterly. Everyone forgot I was the sister. The headlines just called me the woman scorned. Mom called again, crying, "Why did you do this, Hannah? He's your brother." "No, Mom," I said quietly. "He stopped being that the moment he proposed to her." She sobbed and hung up. Somewhere behind me, my phone buzzed. Messages from coworkers, pity from old friends, tabloid requests. I turned the phone off. That night, I poured a drink and sat by the window. The city lights looked blurred, smeared like tears across the dark glass. Maybe I went too far. Maybe not far enough. I replayed her recording again, but this time I felt nothing, just empty air. The next day, my doorbell rang. I didn't move. Then louder knocking. Ryan's voice cut through. "Hannah, open the door, please." I stayed silent. He knocked once more before footsteps retreated. Through the peephole, I saw him walking down the hallway, shoulders slumped. He looked smaller now. Not the golden boy everyone had adored, just a man stripped of everything that once made him proud. I watched him disappear and whispered, "Now you know what it's like." A visit in the rain 3 weeks later, rain poured down like heaven wanted to wash the earth clean. It didn't matter. My heart still felt heavier than the clouds. The knock came again, softer this time. Ella stood on the porch, soaked through, mascara running like ink. She looked nothing like the woman from the altar. "Can I come in?" she asked. I hesitated, then stepped aside. She stood dripping on my floor, eyes raw. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "It wasn't love. I was scared, of being alone, of losing everything." Her words fell like raindrops, one after another. I wanted to scream, to throw her out, but instead I poured her tea. "You could have told me the truth," I said. "I would have understood." "No, you wouldn't have," she whispered. "You love too deeply." For the first time in months, I didn't know what to say. We sat in silence, the rain filling the gaps our hearts had left. As she stood to leave, she touched my hand gently. "I do still love you," she said. Her lips found mine for a brief second, soft, broken. Then she walked out before I could answer. Outside, her figure vanished into the storm, and I realized forgiveness wasn't a gift to her. It was a doorway for me. The brother I buried. It was late fall when Ryan called. His voice sounded hollow. "I need to see you." We met by the river we used to fish at as kids. The air was cold, the water gray and restless. He looked older, unshaven, eyes sunken, not the confident brother I remembered. "I lost everything," he said. "My job, Ella. Even Mom barely speaks to me." "You took everything from me first," I said softly. He nodded, tears forming. "I know. I don't expect forgiveness." I studied him, the boy I used to build forts with, the man who betrayed me without blinking. For a long time, neither of us spoke. The wind carried quiet ripples across the river. Finally, I said, "I forgive you." His head snapped up. "You do?" "For me, not you," I said. "I can't carry this anymore." He cried, shoulders shaking. I watched the tears disappear into the dirt. Then he stood, whispered, "Thank you," and walked away down the riverbank. I stayed until sunset, watching the water flow past like time washing over old wounds. I took one last deep breath and threw the torn half of our childhood photo into the river. It floated briefly, then sank. Sometimes you have to bury someone who's still alive to set yourself free. As the sky turned gold, I whispered, "Goodbye, Ryan." And for the first time since that night of the proposal, I felt light again, like revenge had finally made peace with forgiveness.